This is Lisa from MobileTechReview, and this is the Lenovo Legion 9i. So rumored and finally here. For those of you who were interested in the Lenovo Legion Pro 7i, but were missing some of the higher end features that went away, like the rear RGB, the 2.5 gigabit Ethernet, stuff like that, well, it is all here, and then some, including liquid cooling and a mini LED display. We're going to look at it now. So basically, Lenovo has added to the lineup, so there's more granularity between models. I know some of you are just going to be like, oh my God, they're grabbing for more money, but really not so much, and it's sort of a bit of inflation sensitivity here. So the 7 still has a whole, or 7 Pro, has a whole lot of performance. You're not losing out on that, but this is for those of you who want all the bells and whistles that you would get in other competing high-end laptops, but right now Legions are super popular. The hive mind says, go buy a Legion, right? It's true, you know it is. So you wanted that mini LED display like you could get on the Asus ROG Zephyrus M16 or the Scar 16 or something. Check, you got it here. And 16.3 inches, no less. And 3200 by 2000 pixels, so 3.2K resolution, even higher resolution there. Nice enough. You have RGB everywhere. I know this is a bit polarizing because some people like the Legions because they're a little going on the download, they're a little bit more chill, but you know, you can set it to a single color or turn the lighting off. But for those of you who do like lighting everywhere, including along the back, this one has it. You're back to an all metal casing instead of recycled aluminum chassis. The top, I know, is divisive, and I feel you there, I really do. It's forged carbon fiber, and to me it looks like maybe a dbrand skin or an industrial countertop, but I leave that up to you to decide how you feel about it. It feels nice to touch it though, and it doesn't show fingerprints, so that's good. The rest of the casing is aluminum, and the bottom is a magnesium aluminum alloy, so that's all premium. Keyboard on this, 1.5 millimeters of travel, of course, per key, RGB. Feels nice and tactile enough. There is no mechanical keyboard option, so Alienware still got that over them for those of you who really want it, but it's a very comfortable keyboard. You'll notice looking at it though that the keyboard is kind of shifted down, not as much as Asus has done with some of their Zephyrus lines where they actually put the keyboard all the way to the front edge and the trackpad beside it. That's really not very ergonomic, is it? This one at least is still reasonably ergonomic. You just have a shortened wrist rest area and a trackpad that is commensurately smaller, and it is kind of annoying, mostly because I find myself, especially given the fact that you have a number pad here, so the keyboard is shifted to one side a bit, that I'm accidentally creeping over and right-clicking when I don't mean to. You'll get used to it, but that is what it is. Why did they do this? Not just so that well-lit power button can be there all by itself like a big old belly button, but because they're adding cooling in that area, and cooling is a big theme here. Now Legions, you know, they actually have always had quite good thermals here. And we have not just a vapor chamber going on, but we have liquid cooling, sealed liquid cooling, no less. So that's different. We're going to review an XMG laptop, in fact, that has ports where you can put the distilled water in and change the water every so often. This one is sealed. Does that mean eventually, years from now, the water could evaporate out? Because even through fairly solid surfaces, water can do that. I guess so. Anyway. It's not like Legion's had a lot of problem with that, but given that they're trying to maintain that reasonably slim and light 16-inch design and not have it sound like a roaring vacuum cleaner all the time, it does that job. So when does this water cooling kick in and how? Well, there has to be some kind of pump involved because they say that it's a die-cast water cooler that was co-engineered with Cooler Master, and when the CPU temperature hits 87 centigrade or the GPU hits 84 centigrade and the VRAM temperature goes to 87, well, it's going to kick in. The liquid pump is going to start cooling this thing down. So there's the explanation of that. In practice, how does it work? When we did our benchmarks in games, we put in performance mode, and you can actually tweak the GPU overclocking and stuff. And this is an Intel 13th generation K-series overclockable processor inside, so it's at the high end. And if you put it in performance mode, you'll always hear the fans, but it never gets all that loud. If you put it in balance mode, it's really very manageable. So it is effective at managing the noise and the heat too. The thermals in this when playing games were quite good. Now, things have been improving throughout 2023 when it comes to cooling for both AMD and Intel processors in gaming laptops, AI cooling and all that sort of thing, managing that stuff, but it does a good job. And it has 3 fans on board, which certainly is helping. So when you're looking at this laptop in terms of performance, it's not that it's going to blow the Legion Pro 7i out of the water, because that's already one of the most performant laptops if you get a higher spec model. It's really more about, again, the nice bells and whistles stuff here. But the performance on this is excellent, and it competes with bigger laptops like the Alienware M18 that we're going to be reviewing too. Much bigger chassis on that, so that says something. Now, your choices for video cards are the RTX 4080 or 4090, 175 watt on here. And the processor is the 13980HK Intel 13th generation CPU. For RAM, you have 2 RAM slots, so that's good. And you can get it with 5600 or 6400 megahertz DDR5 RAM. The bad news is that it's on the other side of the motherboard. You actually have to take the motherboard out if you want to upgrade it after the fact. You can get it with 32 gigs or 64 gigs from Lenovo. And you have 2 M.2 SSD slots, PCIe 4. Some of the fastest speeds I have seen yet. I am impressed with it. In ours, because we have the higher end configuration, we have 2 1 terabyte SSDs on board. You can also get it just with a 1 terabyte SSD, and you can upgrade it yourself. That is readily accessible. So this is a lot of high-end stuff. So how's the pricing on this? Oh wait, there's one more thing you get for your money. You don't pay extra for this. You have a 330 watt GAN charger. That means a compact charger, relatively speaking, compared to the old style ones. It is lighter and a lot smaller. And you're going to want to use that when you're gaming, or when you're pushing it hard, you're doing 3D rendering, you're going out with your 4K video edits real hard. But it also comes with a 140 watt USB-C compact charger, or more compact. You know, it's not going to be like a Lenovo ThinkPad X1 carbon size charger or something like that, but it is a lot smaller and lighter. So if you're taking it to class or to a meeting, you're not doing any heavy lifting with it and you don't want that extra carry weight, it comes with it. Pricing starts with the RTX 3080 at $3,420 currently. You know, Lenovo, they bounce with the pricing. When they announced it 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, you were going to pay more. Now it's already coming down. Add about another $520 if you want the 4090. So I would say probably the 4080 is going to be the sweet spot for value for a lot of people. And when you're ordering it from Lenovo, if you do that instead of picking a pre-built at a store, you can pick how much RAM, SSD capacity, and stuff you have. The GPU on this supports G-Sync. It is HDR1000, display HDR1000. Though with our colorimeter, you know, it's very hard to actually measure HDR brightness because you need something that's going to trigger HDR. So we couldn't measure it at that high. I will say that you'll notice even in our videos showing you the screen that there is some PWM, which means it's probably at a low megahertz, might irritate some eyes, something I didn't see with the Asus ROG Zephyrus M16 with a mini LED display that we reviewed. To look at it, it's gorgeous. It's a matte display, non-touch of course. It's a gaming laptop. We have advanced Optimus on board, so you can switch to just GPU only if you want, or have it do auto-switchable graphics. You're going to have to do a reboot though, so there's that. There's no just switching it on the fly. Of course, we have Wi-Fi 6E for ports. We have 2 Thunderbolt 4. You have a USB, and those are on the back. We have USB-C. Again, there are ports along the back, and the only thing that lights up is the power label on the back. I kind of miss it when all those indicator lights would light up. That 2.5 gigabit Ethernet, a full-size SD card slot. Yay, creators are going to be happy about that. You've got 2 USB-A ports and HDMI 2.1. So your connectivity on here is pretty good as well. You have a fingerprint scanner in the power button. So biometrics, not something we can take for granted on gaming laptops still. So good to have that. Gaming laptops have not had the best speakers, oddly enough. You would think that they would, right? So these are pretty good. These have 2 2-watt Harman stereo speakers and Nahimic audio, so you can set up 3D surround and all that sort of stuff if you want. These are actually reasonably good. They have some bass, but not up-firing speakers. I still wish for clarity and a better sense of projection that they would have that, but I suppose there was only so much room internally to do something like that. So for our gaming benchmarks, it did real well, as expected. Like I said, one thing to note is we did our tests at QHD plus resolutions, a 16 by 10 aspect ratio display, but because pretty much every other gaming laptop on the market these days is QHD or QHD plus, 2560 by 1600 or 2560 by 1440, just to level the playing field so you can get an idea of how it does versus the other competitors that we reviewed. But you'll also see we have a few benchmarks, the results that we measured, running it at the full 32 2200 by 2000 resolution. And I would say it could still handle that well. I mean, unless you're playing CSGO professionally, competitively, or something like that, whether you're getting 96 frames per second or 120 frames per second in something like, you know, Red Dead or whatever, I think I would probably just go with the higher resolution for the nicer eye candy and the sharper visuals. Even some people might say it's overkill at 16 inches to go with that high resolution. I could see the difference. I liked it. All right, bottom cover, magnesium aluminum alloy, lots of ventilation here. Obviously, these are the speaker grills. To remove this, Phillips head screws and then a plastic pry tool. It's not too hard to get off. Start from the back. It's easier. And we take off the cover. And these are the internals. A little bit of a denouement here because you can't get to everything. That's one of the drawbacks here. First, the big battery, 99.9 watt hour. The speaker drivers are right over here. 3-fan system on display. That's easy enough to see. Underneath this cover, which is retained by several Phillips head screws, are the 2 SSD slots. Since we have the higher end configuration that has 2 1 terabyte SSDs, we have both slots filled right now, and like I said, some of the fastest SSD speeds I've seen yet. That's pretty neat. And be careful of this cover because it's also attached, glued to the ribbon cables over here. So yeah, there's your Wi-Fi card right there, Intel Wi-Fi 6E with Bluetooth onboard. If you want to get to the vapor chamber or the RAM slots, you're going to have to remove this motherboard. Take this off completely, obviously. Pull the motherboard out to get to those. So that's kind of a bummer. So I guess I would say that you should order this with as much RAM as you want. You can order with 64 gigabytes if you want, so go ahead and do that because it's a bit of a pain to take out a motherboard just to do that. So that's the Lenovo Legion 9i for 2023, and they've done a good job here of giving you a Legion that has all the bells and whistles. For those of you who want that, you don't feel like you're kind of giving up stuff that you might have gotten with Alienware or Asus or something like that, or MSI, and they've done a pretty good job. I know y'all are not going to be happy about the pricing, and nobody's happy about the pricing of anything in 2023 thanks to inflation, but that said, their prices are competitive with the machines that they're going up against, like the Asus ROG Strix Scar 16 and commensurate Alienwares with similar stuff on board. So it's not an unfair price. And if you're a Legion fan, you like that mini LED display, you like RGB bling everywhere, you want your metal chassis, you want your faster Ethernet, all of those things, and liquid cooling, and really a relatively quiet and cool running machine given its size, they are giving you that with performance that is at the top of the heap. I'm Lisa from MobileTechReview. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more cool tech videos, and thumbs up if you like this vid.